first time in, let's say 2-3 years, I've got a buffalo nickel ender. Silver Chupacabra here, and we're here to hunt some nickels. Do a little nickel searching. We got some backup, and we're ready to go. Here we are with our primary, which just turned into our primary, and as you can see, we've got some holes that we'd like to fill, and these are not really anything new. These ones are just tough to get. This one is also tough to get, but I've already got it, so we're not worried about the 50D. But I was hoping the last time out we got a 50 filly. I was hoping that wasn't the last time out. It was a couple of boxes ago. I was hoping we'd get another 50D. I wouldn't have to worry about it. Anyway, other things that we always love gathering, silver or nickels. We've got most of them there except for that 44D. Semi-key dates like that 50D are also very much well wanted. Varieties are wanted. We did happen to get an upgrader 53D, which is in very good shape, last hunt out. We also like getting different series of nickels, like buffalo nickels, and we finally broke what I would say is almost a 2-month no buffalo nickel deal. Last box out, and not only did we get one, we actually got a goodie. 34D, and it's in great shape for circulated buffalo nickel. It's been out there for maybe a little bit. I would say almost in fine condition, right around there, VG fine. The 7 million there, which is actually a pretty low mintage, does not make it a semi-key date. It's more semi-keys for buffalo nickels, kind of start in the 5s and go down to a certain point, but I don't care. It filled a spot, and we're good. Can we keep that moving? That's the big question. I have not seen a V-nickel for a long, long time. I wouldn't mind seeing one of those too. So, the thing is, the Chupacabra here wants a V-nickel. Can he get a V-nickel just by wishing it? Can you help me? Can you help me? Probably not. But let's go ahead and check the enders here to see if there's anything interesting. Top enders are up to bat. And as you can see, not much really anything different. There's a big time worn Monticello there. That's got to be somewhere at least in the 40s. But as you can see, kind of the same things here. What is that? I'd already looked at this, obviously, of course, and whatnot, but it's like, well, I got that. Yeah, I've seen those before. What is that? Folks, the first time in, let's say, God, how many years? I'm trying not to show too much. I might have already shown too much. 2-3 years, I've got a buffalo nickel ender. So we're actually, the streak continues. We'll have 2 in a row there. But what I don't want to do is I'm not going to show you the date. I'm going to keep that part a mystery. Now, if you want to rewind and see if I gave you pretty good clues to what it actually was, without the mint mark, of course, and that is up to you. I forgot about that little tidbit, so that's my fault for kind of giving away. But we do have an ender that is going to be like 46, almost like the last buffalo nickel we found. I think that was on 42, maybe? Can't quite remember. Anyway, well, we got something to look forward to, and of course, I don't care. We're going to find something before that. Love to find a buffalo nickel before that, too. Buffalo nickel or two. There we are. It is not Loomis. We've got that as an ender, which looks like 90s or early 2000s. And then we got one of those, which is probably more in the 2010s, 2020s. So we are thinking, yep, it's the stuff inside. It's going to show us something. Let's open it up and see what we got. Okay, we are on roll 6 of this new nickel box hunt. And folks, this is the first check-in, so obviously it's been a bit dry. But you know what? What I would say is I like the nickel rolls I've went through so far. Lots of cool, interesting things to look at. Just nothing of elderly status. Varieties, too. Hey, we got a 1957. Really beat up. Rim has really had some problems there. Very, very cool. I'm thinking D, and I am wrong. That is a Philadelphia, folks. Philadelphia. Back is actually in nice condition. You still have a little bit left. I would actually say this is suspect, so we might be coming back for it. We are back on roll 6, and just like I'd mentioned, that one that looks suspicious, take a look. Some of you are probably thinking that it's a 58, but it is actually a 38, folks. First year Jefferson. Pretty beat up. I mean, it's pretty warm, but you got that nice black mark that's on his face, and scratches aplenty. I would think this would not be any key dates, but you know what? For something that's that beat up and worn, I would say that's actually a decent Monticello for it. And we've had some suspect ones actually have mint marks, so will we have a mint mark for a key date? That's a no. But that is actually a really cool find. You don't find too many first year 38s, even if they're Philadelphia. You got to remember that they were also making buffalo nickels last year wise in 38. I don't think Philadelphia did. I think that was just Denver. But anyway, well, that's it for that. Roll 7 is up next. Roll 7 is up to bat. Now, we already know from looking at the enders that our buffalo nickel streak is going to continue. But, folks, it got even better here. Take a look. It will be a buffalo nickel reverse. And as you can see, I would say there's just a tad bit of weathering there. Not weathering, it's... what's the word for it? There's a tad bit of wear there. I don't know why I said weathering. The U.S. of America there is definitely worn in. The horn. I do believe that there never was a mint mark here. I don't really see anything even trying to bust out, and that's the most put together part of the reverse. So anyway, you can probably guesstimate or have a pretty decent idea that the date will not be here, but, hope springs eternal. Liberty, rim is worn into that. Well. There's actually somewhat of a date here. Although I don't know if we're going to be able to tell from that. There's something going on there at least. Well, let's just say I can say anything from 1913 to 1938. And I doubt if it's in any of the 30s. So 1913 to 1929. Obviously, Nicodate's going to happen here. Okay, so I actually nicodated it a couple of times. It's a good thing I did do it a second time because I thought it was a 25 at the first. That is actually a 1923. I'm trying to get it into a light where it's more apparent that that's a 3. Might be tough to see for you, but it is a 3. And, there's no mint mark in the back, so 1923 Philadelphia. Very cool find, very worn find. Don't care. Buffalo nickel, I'll take them all the time. Roll 8. This will be the third roll in a row that we've actually gotten something. Very nice 1958. I think this is pretty close to MS. It's at least AU. Take a look at that pretty lines all over and detailed. 58 it is. Could be a Philly in this good of shape. We'll see though. Nice there on the back. Might even actually have a step on the top. That's about it for the steps. You will be a D. I will definitely be checking for upgrader there. 58, nice 58s tend to come around more often, of course, other ones. But anyway, that is the end of roll 8. And we are all of a sudden, we've got a couple of 50s up there, 57, 58. And then on our big scores, we've got that 23 Buffalo Philly and that 38 Philly. Very cool. 13th roll of this nickel box hunt, and we're going to have our 5th find. We got a 1951. Nice. I would say, there's definitely wear there. By the way, an S minted 51 would be a semi-key date. And we do have a mint mark with this. Do we have a semi-key date? And we're going to have a D on there, which is cool too. 1951 minted in Denver. It's our first early 50s. That is the end of roll 13. 15th roll of this nickel box search. And we're going to have ourselves another find in the actual laydown. Take a look. Looks like we've got a 1955 sitting here. 1955. It's got some decent detail to it. Top of the hair, definitely wear. 55 has 2 mints, Philadelphia and Denver. Only 1 mint mark, of course, Denver. For it to be what would be a semi-key date, in other words, a little rarer, to be no mint mark on the back. Let's go ahead and check her out. I would say there's a shot here for it. Nope, there will be a mint mark. It is a D. Very cool. Starting to get some oldies in here. And it's find number 6. And I've got a whole bunch of coins to go through here. So back end of roll 15. We're going to have our second find in the roll, 1954. We had a 55 a little bit earlier, and here we go with 54. Could have the same mint on here, I would suspect. 1954 was the last year for S mint marks to be on the back of nickels. But I'm still thinking it's going to be a D. And D it is. Go Beans. Starting to get some stuff coming in, and that is find 7. Yep, 7. Roll 16 has been laid out. The ender here was one of the enders that I pointed to earlier about, well, I mean, that's just obvious wear there. This thing has to be at least in the 40s just based on wear. A little bit of a ring of death there too from being in rolls, but feeling it will be if it is an oldie. And I would say, just looking at the portrait, that's old. 47. 47 Philly. Like I said, pretty warm. We'll take a quick check to see if this is a counterfeit Henning nickel. I'm looking at the right leg of the R. My perspective should see a little bit of like an indentation dent there, and I do not see one. I will measure it later because Henning nickels, I believe, are like about 0.38 or 0.4. They weigh about 0.38 or 0.4 more than actual nickels. One thing that Mr. Henning had kind of screwed up on. But anyway, there's the rest. Is there anything in there? Well, through all of this nickel box search, it's gotten pretty tasty so far, with a slow start, and it's looking good. Now we've got something coming up here that will definitely look a little bit off in a nickel box, huh? Take a look. I don't get to see these very often, so when I do get to see them, these are actually pretty cool finds. But as you can see, you got a shiny background. You've got a nice cameo with Monticello there. Beautiful. Not in too bad a shape for being in circulation. It's looking pretty darn good. I'm not even sure if those are scratches more than scuffs, but a little bit of scratching going in there. But let's go ahead and see what the date is. 1985. Wow. And you can see the S mint mark, which you don't get to see very often. Basically, after what? I can't remember. 71 had them or not. I know 70 did, maybe? Somewhere in there, but very nice proof coin coming out of circulation. I could probably clean that up just a little bit. I don't mean using cleaner, by the way. But a very cool find. I'm on roll 21. I just wanted to show you all. These aren't the first ones I've gotten out of this box. There's been plenty. Man, somebody is either taking their paint out on nickels, or they went specifically out and looked for nickels that, well, let's just say, aren't very nickel-like anymore. Back to the action. Just past halfway, roll 26. And we are going to have something. We don't know yet. You should be able to see an S. Wait, get my finger. What am I doing with my finger there? Sorry. We should be able to see a nice S mint mark, which means that this is at least 1954 or older. The best thing with an S mint mark is it could be anything. It could be a common date. Like, let's just say 1946S. Pretty common. I mean, it probably has a low mintage, or a lower mintage than most of the other commons, like Phillies or Denvers, but still, common date. It could be a semi-key date. There are plenty of them. What do we got? 51S, we've got 48S, 49S, so there are semi-key dates in there, meaning it's rare. Not rare, but rare. I don't know how else to put that. It could be a key date. We've got a 38S and a 39S. That would be awesome if it was a key date. The thing is, this all rolls in my head, and of course, if it doesn't hit, which is most likely on one of the biggies, that it's going to be a little bit disappointing. But you can see this is in pretty good shape. Not MS, probably not AU, maybe XF in that realm. But in pretty good shape. Circulated, for gosh sakes. Question is, what will we get? Common, semi-key, or key? Well, that kind of limits things there. Won't be 50 because there is no 50S. 51S would be a semi-keyed 8. 52, 53, 54 are all commons. Oh, cool. Very cool. It is a semi-keyed 8, and this is a pretty good shape, circulation-wise. Could be an updater somewhere. Oh, I'm loving it. We had a 38 Philly, a Buffalo Nickel 1923 Philly, a proof, and a semi-key. Wow. Only left, what do we have left? V-Nickel and a keyed 8? Oh, we have not had a silverware nickel yet. Onward we go. We are on roll 28. And we are going to have a find. I believe it's the 11th. Get a nice, interestingly toned 1947. Makes the outlines of the portrait and the lettering stick out a lot more. I always kind of like that look. Very worn. I could see this being straight Philadelphia. We have had one already, a 47, which I believe was Philadelphia, but sorry about the light there. It's a little bit bright. It's worn here too, which you do have some window action. Maybe a D pops up. Yeah, look at that. D did pop up. So 47 Denver, folks. It's a couple of 47s. I need the S for the mint cycle for that. And 1951, by the way, is also in the realm of possibility. All we need is the Philadelphia. Still have this whole roll to check out. Okay, we are on roll 32 of this nickel box hunt, which has been a very good one. And we're going to have something, I don't know, interesting here, because as you see, I have left it in the roll itself. What the heck is that? A little bit bigger than a nickel, by the way. So obviously most probably foreign, but it just looks interesting. Blast white on the reeds themselves, although I'm doubting very seriously if silver is a thing here. Let's go ahead and turn her over to here. And this is, I'm going to guess, when it says Singapura or Singapore, it's from Singapore. I guess it kind of says that down below, yes. Yes, 1987. You've got a date. You got, what, 2 lions with a, what do they call that again? Something. I should know that a little bit more because I see them a little bit more often in the foreign coins. They're holding some sort of field of whatever Singapore stands for, meaning their beliefs, culture-wise and whatnot. Anyway, I still don't know what this is when it comes to denominations. Will it be just a flip, or would it be side to side? It would have been side to side, so we'll just kind of pop her over, and it says 20 cents. Got a flower, maybe a fern there. Hard to tell. I suspect that when we get to go to Numista and get more of a documentation of it, it'll give us plenty of ideas what's what. The one thing we did not try, I'm going to go reach for my trusty deal here. Will it be magnetic? And that is a no, so no steel in it, or nothing that's magnetic-wise. So, let's go ahead and check this out on the Mista. Okay, so here is some information on that 20-cent piece. As you can kind of see a little bit of what's on the reverse. And then some of its features. And as you can see, the composition is copper nickel. Basically, what a nickel is made out of, mineral-wise. Doesn't say anything about percentages, but I don't know. Pretty cool. Love the find. We got a roll 32. And on the back end of the roll, I don't know if this was an end or not. So, whatever. But we do have another 1951. And I tell you, I don't get a whole lot of 51s popping out here. This is the third for today. And look at what condition it's in. This is another one in great condition. Now, we have had a D and an S. The S was a semi-key date. If this is a Philly, which it darn well could be here, I believe 51 Phillies had less made than the Denver minute ones. Something that happened in the early 50s. Not sure why there's lower mintages for Phillies. But anyway, this could be San Francisco, too. In other words, another semi-key date. With the second one. Let's see what we got here, folks. Not bad condition. I would say the obverse has better stuff going on it. Putting this under a little bit more light. What do we got? This is very cool. It is the second semi-key date 51S we have gotten in this box. That is very awesome. Very unexpected, very awesome. Twinsies. We don't get twinsies very often. Onward we go. This is roll 34. And, this has been a great box so far. And it's going to even get better. This is going to be, we've only looked at one of them. But this is going to be the third Buffalo nickel we're getting out of this box. We already know that we have an ender that's coming up in about 10 rolls. But, wow. And I have not had a 3 Buffalo nickel box, for a long time. It's been a couple of years at least. There she is. She's worn too. Kind of like the first one we got that turned out to be a 1923. Severely doubting that this is going to have a clear date. And we're pretty right on that. But Hope Springs Eternal. And by the way, I did not really see any chance of a mint mark there, but we'll definitely look this up. Nicodate time it is. Okay, so I actually only had to nicodate this once. Came out pretty good. That is going to be a 1928. Now, the other part here is that we did have a lot of wear on the back. And you can barely see it there, right at the very bottom. And it's actually where it should be, too. I went to PCGS and actually looked up 28 Ds. That is going to be a D mint mark, even though it's really hard to tell, but you can see the very top of it right there. The D mint mark on 1928 they tended to put it really low towards the regular rim. But as you can see, they basically, the rim's so worn in, it's not even funny. That is going to be a 1920 AD. And that is cool because mint marks and buffalo nickels are actually pretty important for collection books, for me at least. I got most of the Philadelphia ones in the teens and the 20s. Mint marks are needed. I hope this is actually going to be a filler. Another worn one, but I don't care. Very cool. 35th roll is up to bat. And we're going to finally get that last year of the 50s nickel in there. 1959. Bad condition. Definitely is missing detail on the top. Hairline there. Probably a deeper Denver, I would suspect. I do believe there is no mint work there. Oh. So, got a Philly. Nice. Don't find those too often. Hopefully, and I see some suspects in here. Although I might have said that 70 was close to it too. But anyway, we'll see what's in the rest of the roll. Roll 37 has been laid out, and we're finally going to get an early 1940. We've only had two 40s, and they're both 47s. Take a look, 1940. About as decent shape as a 1940 usually comes. Some detail on the bottom of the hair. Kind of reaching up there, so not in bad condition. You can see windows, but they're also pretty worn. D. 1940 Denver minted. Very cool. Finally. Still have this little roll to check out. Roll 38. We're going to have our 16th find. 1956. It's actually the one missing part in our 50s here. Well, there's a few other ones, but it is a missing part. Not too bad a shape. It's a bit ooky. Never minted. Kind of makes sense. So as you can see, from 59 now all the way down to 54, we're missing 53 and 52 and 50. Got plenty of 51s. Roll 39 has been laid out. I already started checking the obverses. Check it out, 1953. We have not had a 53 as of yet. We've had everything from 59 all the way down to 54 and some 51s. 53 was missing. Cool. It's got that dirt surrounding the fonts and whatnot, so that makes the numbers and the lettering look really nice. I always did like that. This is in pretty good shape. A little bit of wear on that obverse, but this is in pretty good shape. A little bit of ring of death action there on the right side, as you can see. I don't know what to expect. Well, I should have expected that, right? Now, since it is a 1953 Philly, we are looking for what would be called a henny notch. Although I am going to also say this might be, and I'm thinking it's probably a ring of death thing. But take a look at the bottom of all those. They look like they're doubled. I think it actually is a ring of death that made it look that way. We'll look at it later. Anyway, 53 Philly. I'm going to put it right here. Nice. All that to look at. We are in roll 45 at the very back end of the roll. Usually these didn't come out to being old with the red and brown background. Very interesting how it ever got that way. But I do believe it says 1946, so that would make it old. It would actually make it 80 years old. Happy birthday. My parents are still older than you. That was just a joke, Mom and Dad. Just a joke. I mean, it's a factual joke, but hey. Anyway, I have no idea. It's going to be Philly. Now, wouldn't this be interesting if this was a Henning counterfeit nickel? I do not see anything going on with that right leg of the R there. But we will weigh it, check it out later. I think it's right around 5.4 grams, somewhere right around there. Regular nickels are right on the kind of like the 5.0 part. Anyway, that is it for that. We've got something happening coming up on the next roll. So we are on roll 45. Well, we're on roll 46 actually, because we're just about to go on to this roll. Long time ago, we looked at this and looked at it for Enders. There he is. I'm not going to show the date quite yet. The date's there. So I'm thinking it's probably going to be later 30s, but let's not assume. But it looks like it's in decent condition. We're going to find out right now. Whoopsie. Okay, so here's the roll itself, and this is the actual buffalo nickel. So you can see that it's not even it's a little bit rounded, but not even, there's nothing special about it. That's why we got a date, because it isn't really worn. And by the way, that is a nothing burger right there. I've already checked it. So let's go ahead. You know what? Let's go ahead and do the back here. We knew the front was going to be on that other side. Sorry. No, not too bad. It is a Philly. That is unfortunate, but there are plenty of really cool finds that would be Philadelphia. The horn is kind of a little bit past halfway, so not in bad condition. We do see all appendages, so we can forget about anything like a 3-legged or a 3.5-legged deal. And 1936. Pretty sure I have that, but that's alright. It's in pretty good condition. Pretty darn good condition, and we love that it's another buffalo find. This is the third of this nickel box. I haven't had one of these for quite a while. So very, very cool. We still have a little bit left, right? We still actually have the rest of the roll to check out. So we are still in roll 46, about halfway in. We just pulled a 1936 Buffalo, so a 90-year-old Buffalo nickel out. And we're going to have one that's 3 years later join us. Check it out, folks. That is not a 5 in the third digit. That is a 3. And maybe one of the reasons it's hard to tell is that there's a big old gouge there on the 39, but it is a 1939 second year Jefferson. I would say pretty wiped, other than a little bit of detail at the bottom part of the hair. Usually these will not, in my experience, will not have mint marks, but I can hope, right? And it will be a 39 Philly. Once again, I get a chance to look at the bottom part of that R for an indentation. which I do not see. You'd see it right at the connection between the R and the I in pluribus. There is a little bit of connection there. I just don't really see anything going on. But anyway, that is find number 22. So the numbers have actually come up on this too. And if you notice, other than missing, a 52 and a 50, and then, 49 and a 48 would be here as well. This is kind of filled out. So a good variety all the way across, plus just tons of great finds. And we still have the rest of that, and we still have 4 more. Can we get a 4th buffalo? And by the way, we have not found a Civil War nickel. That would be a pretty funny one to leave out in this box on itself. Had almost everything else other than a Civil War and a Q-date. But anyway, we go on. Roll 48. About halfway into the roll, we do have another 1940. I cannot remember, was it a 40D earlier? But anyway, not that important. A little bit of detail on the back part of the hair, but the top, yes, definitely wear. And we're going to get a nice filly on that. Here we go. Onward we go. So still on roll 48. And we're going to get another 1940. This was actually one right before an ender. Not an ender, but pretty close. This one, I would say, has more detail into the hair. Better shape. Probably a mint mark with this as well. And no, you're wrong again, Chupa. Wrong. So another 1940 filly. On to roll 49. Well, Batman is in his cave. It's empty. We are done with this fabulous nickel box hunt we had. 20, it's either 22 or 23 finds. I'm not going to recount. But it's what we got in it. All of this. This is all very cool, uncommon coins, I would say, if you want to call it that. But special coins that you're looking for in nickel box hunts. So let's go ahead and just summarize here. We've got a 1939. That came late, by the way. Philadelphia. A couple of 1940s, Philly, 40D, 46 Philly, 47 Philly, 47D, a 51D. We did get some other 51s, by the way. 53 Philly. We get a 54D, 55D, 56D, a 57 Philly. 3 58Ds. We had a 59 Philly and a 59 Denver, which means we did get the short cycle for that. Did get, a few interesting coins there. I'm going to show you a really interesting one here in a little bit. But anyway, 3 Buffalo nickels, folks. Haven't had one of these for quite a while. We had to liquidate 2 of these. You can see which ones. This one was a little bit tougher to go. 1923, Philly. 1928 D. We did have to liquidate the mint mark for that, and it's very hard to see, but it is there. 36 Philly, which came late. This was an ender. Much better shape than the rest. We didn't, like I said, didn't have to liquidate anything there. We had 2 1951 S semi-key dates. Very weird when that stuff happens. 38 Philly first year. We don't get those too often. A very cool Singapore 20 cents. And I could tell it was something different when you've got a reeded edges there. A little bit bigger than a nickel, by the way. A 1985 San Francisco proof. Pretty decent shape, too. Nice cameo there, by the way. Now, this is going to be the oddity here. First off, you should be able to see full steps. But, just look at how what great shape that's in. I'm not touching anything in the fields because I plan on sending this off to PCGS. Same thing here, but take a look at the date, 92D. And normally, this is a nothing coin, meaning why? But I'm always on the lookout for full-stepped nickels in high MS condition, and this is high MS, I think. We're going to find out, because I'm sending it in. If this can get the top MS, which is MS67, this is actually worth 4 digits. If. PCGS doesn't seem to be too fond of giving if-type coins the grades they deserve. And I'm not saying it deserves an MS67, by the way. I could be very wrong on that, but it just looks so good. So we'll be ready for the disappointment on that one. Anyway, just very cool. I wouldn't have minded finding 10 coins and these all being it, because you're finding special coins. So very cool stuff found. We're going to go on, take a look variety-wise to see what's what, and come back and check out our collection book. Okay, so I did go through all the finds and no varieties. Unfortunate. Anyway, I did that 38 Philly I did put into the newer, the third collection book. So that actually filled a spot. But primary stays the same, four holes to be filled. Here's our Buffalo Nickel area, and take a look. And this was a very low mintage here, so I'm actually pretty darn stoked about filling that in there. The 23 Philly, that unfortunately I already have. I have a lot of the Phillies in the 20s and the teens and actually the 30s. Same thing with the 36. I had that already, but this actually will be an upgrader. My other one was just a little dirty. Let me see if I can actually find that. Put them over here. There we go. As you can see, the front's got a little bit of junk in there. I could actually clean that off. But I think it's actually cleaner on the back, or the reverse of this, than it is of this too. So, we changed it up. Very cool, but as you can see, I mean, that I don't expect, but I mean, they're low mintage, yes, but come on. 37? Philly? Why not? That's a lot. I'm complaining. But getting 3 Buffaloes in a hunt, you know what? You can't ask for more of that. So, anyway, we are done and we go on. And yes, we go on to nickels. I don't have enough pennies to get moving on that yet. Maybe in a couple weeks. But we'll continue on with nickels unless something else comes this way. I do have a coin show coming up next week, so I might actually show you things that I get from the coin show. It'll be a little bit different, at least. We're almost in May, so another dime box hunt will happen then. Nothing happened in our March one. You're done? Everybody out there, anybody watching the long version of this, or even parts of it, thank you. I mean, if you're not even watching that, it doesn't worry me. I put those out for the people that enjoy them, and that's that. Everybody have a great week or weekend, depending on when you watch this. Everybody be safe out there. Cheers to everybody.